Voice Your Place Curtea de Argeș is an audio guide narrated by teenagers about the built heritage of their town. Thank you for visiting our city and listening to our audio guide.
Welcome to the Royal Railway Station of Curtea de Argeș. The invention of the train and the construction of railways in the 19th century changed the face of Europe and European society forever. Until then, the fastest means of transport had been by water. Railways allow people and goods to travel where they were needed, not just where geography allowed. They also connected people on an unprecedented scale. If you like, railways were a kind of internet of the 19th century.
In Romania, the first railway lines were built under concession. Between 1869 and 1880, the newly formed Romanian state contracted foreign companies to build both the railway and its stations. After the War of Independence, in 1877-1878, national pride and a favorable economic situation made the construction of railway lines the responsibility of the Romanian authorities. The Pitești-Curtea de Argeș railway was built as a part of the government's second program to extend existing railway lines and was completed in 1898. Known today as the Royal Route, the Pitești-Curtea de Argeș line was originally built to exploit the wood, lime, and stone resources of the Argeș and Topolog valleys.
Stimați călători, trenul regilor numărul 9532 va pleca în direcția Pitești de la linia 1. Vă dorim călătorie plăcută.
If you have traveled by train to Curtea de Argeș, you may have noticed the stations at Bascov, Merișani, and Băiculești. These are typical stations representative of the style of the Romanian Railway Company, which was different from the previous period based on the imitation of Western train stations. Built by engineer Radu, one of the most important railway builders in the country, the stations have brick facades with stone decorations, their appearance reminiscent of Romanian industrial and military architecture. However, the end of the line, the Royal Railway Station in Curtea de Argeș, has a different architecture. It was also built by engineer Radu, but according to the plans of the Italian architect Giulia. The station was inaugurated on the 27th of November 1898, and it displays an original vision on the neo-Romanian style. The railway station is inspired from various sources. The pediment on the main facade is treated in a Western Romanesque style. The towers flanking the pediment are of Oriental inspiration, while the green belt and the green, blue, and yellow ceramic tiles are typical of neo-Romanian architecture. The station is a long symmetrical building. In the center, there is the waiting room, flanked by two identical towers that contain the stairs to the upper floor.
On the facade facing the platform, there is the Paul Garnier clock, which has recently been restored in a workshop in Bucharest. The brand was used in the early 20th century to equip railway stations in France, Romania, and Argentina.
The construction of the railways was the phenomenon that led to the creation of a national time. Until then, time was local, but with the appearance of the train, for the first time there was a means of transport with controllable speed and predictable duration of journey, and cities had to synchronize their clocks so as not to confuse travelers. Bucharest's time was thus adopted, and the Romanian Railway Company became the official timekeeper, starting with the autumn of 1895. At the time, a clock worked well if it showed the same time as the clock at the station, a mentality that survived in Romania well into the 80s. This text was narrated by
Cristian, Sechea,
Giulia, Iorga, and by
Raluca, Ciolcă.
Suddenly, you hear an excited hey from a familiar voice. You answer instinctively. It's your deskmate from elementary school, Sorina. She recognized you, a sign that you are not really a tourist in Curtea de Argeș.
It was Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. At this time, I'd usually be asleep or feel like throwing my phone out the window because the alarm was going off, but that night had been different. You've been listening to short extracts from our stories written during the creative writing workshop. The buildings that you have visited have a special meaning for us. The stories speak of us and our connection to these places. If you're curious about them, we invite you to read them in full on our website. The audio guide in English was recorded by teenagers during the Voice Your Place Curtea de Argeș 2024 workshops.